All right, let's have a talk about nutrition for wrestlers, and it actually doesn't really change from athlete to athlete. The only changes you'll make is for whether or not you're trying to reduce your fat percentage or you're trying to bulk up. Okay. If you're trying to reduce fat percentage, number one rule, cut out all sugar. All right. That's easily the number one reason the US is overweight. It's not calorie consumption like the corporations want you to believe. They want you to believe you're fat because you overeat and you don't move, which is a lie. We still have we still have blue collar jobs, people working their butts off, sweating on their feet all day long, and they're still obese. Okay, it's due to sugar consumption and other carbohydrates. Sugar is a carbohydrate. So other carbohydrates will function just like sugar functions. Okay. And one of the primary functions sugar creates in your body is fat gain due to insulin secretion. You consume sugar, your sugar level goes up in your bloodstream, your body produces insulin. Insulin binds to the fat cell opens up, the sugar goes in, and the fat cell gets larger. Okay. Significantly reduce sugar intake, fat cells shrink. It's that simple. So if you are on the standard American diet, you're eating Pop Tarts, you're doing the pancakes and syrup, you're eating cereal, that's a big one. It's all got to go. Okay. What do you eat instead? You eat what humans are supposed to eat, plants and animals. That's it. Okay. If it had eyeballs or you just grew it out of the ground, that's what you eat. If you make that one change, you will get shredded. Okay? Don't look for other tricks, other secret sauce. There's only one secret sauce out there and it's steroids. Okay? Unless you're going to do that, then you're going to have to do it the hard way. That requires discipline and work. You got to change your habits. You got to get off the sugar. When I was in 7th grade, I started wrestling and I needed to make weight. I was overweight. I think I weighed like 160 and I needed to weigh 156. I asked upperclassmen from high school, friends I had in high school, what did I have to do? And that was actually his piece of advice. No more sugar, no more sodas. I think we said pop back then in Ohio. No more pop. And I looked up to these guys, thankfully. Looking back on it, I'm glad I looked up to them because I took their word as the holy grail. And I did exactly what they said. And I had no problem making weight. I didn't eat any desserts, no sodas. Is the only change I made to my nutrition, and I dropped below 156 pretty rapidly. To this day, that's all I do. Those two rules. It's that simple. I know all the other rules, and all the other rules come full circle. They wrap around and point back towards no sugar, okay? No junk carbs. Eat plants and animals. Like I listed 10 food rules from an article I read, and every one of these rules can be uh, wrapped into those two rules I just told you. Okay, so for breakfast, omelet, eggs and veggies. For dinner or for lunch, you could do like a typical salad with meat on it. For dinner, steak and potatoes. Repeat. All right, that's what it looks like. Okay, so you are sabotaging. If you're a parent, you're sabotaging your wrestler. If you're keeping junk food in the cupboards, sabotaging him. All right, I was sabotaged by my parents when I was in wrestling season with that stuff that was kept in the house. It makes it hard. Out of sight, out of mind. You got to use that rule. If you never see it, you don't even want it. Okay, so here's some of the food rules. And they all will fall under those two rules I just told you. Number one, avoid sugar. Number two, steer clear of processed foods because you're only supposed to be eating plants and animals. Eat only when you're hungry. Okay, and that one leads into another question you should be asking about your nutrition and be able to answer it. There's three questions. What should you eat? When should you eat? And how much? Okay. Number three, eat only when you're hungry, which is going to be about 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a reason that's the golden standard: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 square meals. That's about how long it takes for a full stomach to digest and you get hungry again. And it's okay to go ahead and eat again. Uh, any nutrient timing rule that you bring to me, special secret sauce nutrient timing, I can debunk it. It may or may not work. Okay. What does work that is time tested across however long humanity has been here is 3 square meals a day. Okay. You can make an argument about fasting. Fasting is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. There's some good science behind it because when we were hunters and gatherers, we didn't have the luxury of 3 square meals a day. You didn't have a refrigerator. You had to eat the meat when you found it or it went bad. So you would go long periods of time. So we are capable of fasting and being healthy and robust. Um, However, if you're not used to fasting, it can hurt you in the short term. It takes a while for your body to adapt to it. So, and once again, it's not necessary. You can be lean and fueled and thrive on 3 square meals a day. So, uh, drink water, tea, and coffee. That leads back to no sugar, no junk carbs. Okay, no Starbucks drinks, no fruit juices. Saw those nakeds and bolt houses and those things with 20 pieces of fruit in one little bottle. That's way too much. Way too much. And you'll drink it all. So you just ate 20 pieces of fruit. Your body can't handle that. It's way too much fructose. You can eat a piece of fruit with each meal. That's fine, and you should do that. Definitely should do that. It has, especially fruit has vitamins that other food items don't have. Get your vitamin C there. Eat veggies at every meal. That's rule number 5 I got from this dude. Number 6 is opt for the best source. Okay. Speaking of sources, that leads into supplements. Supplements aren't even close. They're not even close to the best source. They're not secret sauce like steroids. Not even close. Okay. If you want real good creatine, eat your steak and fish. Eat your meats. I think it's even in chicken. I have to double check how much is in chicken. But if you're eating a plethora of meats, you're getting all the creatine you want. So if you want the best source of creatine, you want the best source of these nutrients you're taking in supplement form, then just plow the plants and animals. That's the best source. The supplement itself is so far behind what you get from the real item that it came from. Okay, that they stripped it away from. All right. Eat an orange, you get way better vitamin C than a vitamin C pill. Okay. And there's a lot of evidence that suggests our body has a really hard time absorbing supplements. So it's kind of a mystery. The old saying, uh, a multivitamin is very expensive urine. Okay. If you ever taken a multivitamin, your urine turns bright gold. It's because you're urinating most of it. No need to worry. You don't need them. You don't need the supplements. Okay. But on that note, if you want to dabble and you want to try some out, see if it helps, uh, there's good supporting evidence that creatine helps. You only need 5 grams a day. Don't do the loading phase. Creatine helps with energy. throughout your workout and helps with strength. And then in turn can help with muscle gain. And then you got your protein drinks. Get You don't want to go cheap on whey protein. It's already, what's the word for it? It's already bad. It's already not a good quality protein like your steak and chicken and eggs. It's already bad. It's not something you necessarily want to eat. You just get desperate sometimes when you're training hard as an athlete, especially the bodybuilders made it popular, and you you're paranoid about your protein intake. You think you need to get more because the golden standard is eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to maintain yourself as an athlete and possibly put on some muscle. So at 215 pounds, I got to eat 215 grams of protein a day. Sometimes it can be tricky. Sometimes I'm coming up short. An easy way to top that off, say I'm 35 grams short, is just drink a shake. Boom, there, I made it. Got my 215 in. Okay, so and timing wise, the best time to drink a protein shake is right after a workout. Don't drink it any other time of the day. It could actually stimulate fat gain. So drink it right after workout. There's a window, like an anabolic window, supposedly, right after you train, and your body will absorb whey protein better during that window. So drink the protein there. I'll put a link down below. I actually have a protein that I like right now. It tastes good, and I think it's high quality. It's made by Phoenix. I'll put a link down below. You can get a discount too. Um, Pre-workouts, they're not necessary. Okay, you just end up getting addicted to caffeine, and caffeine can have some negative side effects if you overdo it. So it is something you definitely don't need. All right, there are studies that show caffeine obviously stimulates you, wakes you up. Okay, wakes up the nervous system, um, but you pay for it later. It's not like a free wake up. It's like it'll hurt your body later. So you don't want to get addicted to caffeine. And there are studies that show caffeine increases strength and endurance to a degree, marginally. Um, it's not going to keep you from becoming a world champion if you don't use caffeine. It's not that kind of thing. It's not steroids. All right. Um, so number 6 was opt for the best source. That's where I went on the supplement rant. And the best source is organic, close to the most natural plants and animals that you can find. If you can't afford the super expensive stuff, then get whatever you can get. You know, I haven't ever been a purchaser of the most expensive organic natural plants and animals at the store, and I've achieved uh, elite level of performance and single digits in body fat percentage on just whatever meats and veggies I could find at the store. We like to shop at Aldi, for example, uh, and never have experienced any side effects. So don't be like, oh, but plants and animals are super expensive. It's like, no, it's like it's that's a myth. Just do the math. You'll figure it out. It's more expensive. Same people that have told me plants and animals are expensive catch them at McDonald's all the time. That's way more expensive. Okay, and and it's not an option to throw away meats and veggies for Pop Tarts. That's not even an option. That's not a food. It does nothing for your body. It actually hurts your body. Okay, so you can't, oh, I'm going to go for the Pop Tart. At least it's food and it's cheaper and I can afford it. It's like, no, it's not even food. It's not an option. Okay, find a way to get the meats and veggies. Okay, prepare the food yourself. That prevents any any sabotages, any traps. Okay, If you're eating processed foods all the time, like for example, we like to get these processed meatballs from Costco once in a while. They're not, by any means, they're not the highest caliber thing you could eat. We're definitely aware of that. And they have added sugar in them to make it even worse. Okay. If we made our own meatballs, which Lydia does often, I don't. I tried it once. Mine are terrible. Hers are delicious, and there's no added sugar. We know exactly what's in them. Okay. So most time we make our own. Once in a while, we'll grab those from Costco, just just out of laziness, just to have a quick meal that's easy to make. So don't do that all the time. Don't fall for that trap. I want my meals to be super easy. It's like just get used to making them, and after a while, you don't even notice. I mean, how hard is it to fry some eggs or grill a steak? It's not hard. It doesn't really take much effort. Prepare the food yourself. You don't. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to have a long list of ingredients. A super long process. Whatever you cook is going to be better than what some corporation made. All right. No, number 8, no good and bad fats. Okay. It's real simple. And the reason, remember, the reason I'm going through this list is this is a good list. I like it. But all of these can be bundled up into those 2 rules I told you in the beginning. Plants and animals, no sugar, no junk carbs. Which, if you're eating plants and animals, you don't even need the other rule. No sugar and no junk carbs. Make make a plan simple, it's easier to execute. That's another reason people fail on their nutrition journey. Okay, is the plan is just way too complicated. I started reading all the rules, all the details that somebody could pack into the keto diet. I was like, I got halfway through. I was like, this is silly because you're gonna get to the end and it's gonna be wrapped up into one rule: eat plants and animals. All right, and they're just messing around with the macros. All right, there's 20, 50, 100 different diets out there that are 100% plants and animals, and all they do is twist the macros a little bit and give it a name like keto or Renaissance periodization or something else. Um, Whole 30. They just twist the macros a little bit, slap their name on it, and sell it. And then the rule that they all lie on top of, if they really really work, is eat whole foods, eat plants and animals. Okay. Prepare the food yourself. No good and bad fats. It's simple. If it came from an animal or plant, it's good fat. Okay. If it was processed, like you find in your little Debbie's and your peanut butter, hydrogenated oils is a word for processed fats. Uh, Margarine is a processed fat. Some of your cooking oils are very processed. So avoid those. And clog up your heart, give you heart disease, give you problems. They don't necessarily make you fat either. That's a myth. What makes you fat, once again, is the consumption of the carbohydrate that stimulates the insulin production. That's the primary mechanism that makes you fat. All right, eat a bunch of that: ice cream, cereal, pancakes, and you'll balloon up real quick. And you can do it even if you're theoretically in a calorie deficit. That's how powerful that weight gain mechanism is. They did it. We've proven it over and over again with humans, but they did it deliberately, which would be an illegal experiment with humans with mice. They starved the mice and they shot them full of insulin, and the mice still gained weight even though they were in a severe calorie restriction. That's how powerful that mechanism is. Okay, you see it in third world countries where the child is emaciated. They got the distended belly not from being overweight, from being starved, and the mother is overweight. And this is a large population of these people. Are all these mothers psychotic and they eat all the food and don't give it to their children? if you think that, I don't think you've ever met a mother before. Okay. So the reason being is, even if you're in a restricted caloric diet, you can gain weight if you're stimulating too much insulin through your carbohydrate intake. And all this wraps around back to your athlete, your wrestler. All right. Your athlete can be fueled, he doesn't have to starve, and he can be lean as long as you control his insulin production, essentially, with the sugar intake. Cut out the breads, cereals, pancakes, mac and cheese, all the junk carbs got to go, and all the desserts and the soda, the pops, all got to go. Number 9, choose your fuel. High intensity versus long distance. Okay, this is going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it can be wrapped up in a tight little bow. If you're going long distance, like the guys who swing the English Channel, uh, they actually have to increase their fat percentage and make sure they have enough, because they're going to get halfway through and they're going to run out of carbohydrates to burn, and their body's going to start rapidly dipping into their fat storage. And when they get to the other side of the channel, they're actually visibly thinner. That's how much fat they burn, because that swim is so long. All right. Wrestlers don't have to worry about that. You're not on the mat that long. High intensity, your body's going to require some carbohydrates for that. So eat your potatoes and rice as a wrestler. If you come in starved to a match, which I did my entire senior year, my entire senior year was horrible. I had to cut 18 pounds the first week, from 190 to 171. Uh, you're gonna be completely fatigued. I remember my first match was like a nightmare. I was a senior. I was wrestling sophomore. Should have finished him in the first period. He took me to the end, and I beat him by like 1 point, barely. It was a heart attack. It's like it wouldn't have been that close if I was fueled, but I'd starved for 3 days. Okay, it's looking back on it, I'm proud of myself. It's like it's a miracle I could even walk onto the mat and perform at all. I wouldn't do that to myself today. You know, I still compete in CrossFit competitions. Uh, I competed in CrossFit comps and a wrestling tournament actually throughout my 30s, and never did I uh, starve myself to get to a lighter body weight so I could do more pull-ups. Nothing like that. And I still wouldn't do it for a wrestling tournament. Uh, so choose your fuel. If you have to cut weight, okay, get on it right away. Start eating nothing but meats and greens. Trickle a little bit of carbohydrates in there for your practices. Uh, I'd only do that like one meal a day prior to the practice to get some fuel in there. But you restrict those carbs, you go on just meats and greens, you'll get shredded super fast. All right. And your body will still, and you're still eating fats too, fats that come in the meats and in the veggies like avocados and beans, I guess. Although those have carbs, so you got to be careful with that too. If you're trying to reduce weight further after you've already cut out the sugar and the processed carbohydrates, then that's the next step. Is now you got to reduce the good carbs, because that's going to just basement out your insulin completely. It's just going to plummet to nothing. Okay, once you get rid of the potatoes and the rice. All right. But I wouldn't recommend staying there forever as a wrestler. It's like you need those good carbs for high intensity energy. And that's what wrestling match is high intensity. It's not long distance. Okay, eat mindfully. I don't remember exactly what he meant by that one. Eat mindfully, but don't don't that just makes me think of falling back on old habits. Think about what your food does for you. It nourishes you, it fuels you, and there's foods that do that well, and there's junk that doesn't do that well. Eat for a purpose. Don't eat for pleasure and taste all the time. It's like that's what our culture uh, pushes so hard. It's just instant gratification. It's like entitlement syndrome everywhere. You don't have to work for what you get. We'll just give it to you. All right, so sit back and play video games and eat junk food all the time. And our culture has produced this instant gratification, and it keeps getting worse with every generation, which is by design. You know, those who push that kind of agenda. So that's another reason why wrestling is such a great sport for our youth. Okay, because we're teaching them discipline and control. And then, like this number 10 says mindfulness. All right, think about why you're doing what you're doing. What's the purpose? Why am I eating? Just because it tastes good? Wrong answer. You need to pick the things that nourish you and fuel you and make you a better person. That's why we should be doing most of everything we do, is because it makes us a better person, makes us a better athlete, makes us perform better. So that's it. So I'll wrap this up with being able to answer those top three questions. Okay. What should I eat? When should I eat? And how much? Okay. What? Plants and animals. When should I eat? When I get hungry. They they want there's a myth out there that like you shouldn't eat when you're hungry. That's you shouldn't listen to your hunger signals. That's horrible advice. We've been listening to our hunger signal since the beginning of humanity. Listen to it, but then eat more plants and animals. All right. And how much? Your stomach is nature's measuring cup. All right. My stomach is bigger than my boy's stomach. My body's bigger. It needs more nourishment, more fuel. Okay. So I eat until my stomach is just full. I'm not stuffed. I'm not weighed down. Okay. Just top it off and then move on. Get back to business. Okay. And then when it empties out and you get your hunger pains again, fill it back up. Okay. Especially if you're a training athlete, you need round the clock nourishment. All right. You can still do that fasting. Somebody probably have a question about that. You can still do that fasting because you're only fasting for 8 to 16 hours, depending on which one you pick. So you're not fasting for multiple days as an athlete. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. All right. 8 to 16 hours, and you're still theoretically staying nourished around the clock because within a 24-hour time span, you're getting the nutrients you need. You never go longer than 24 hours without getting the nutrients you need as an athlete. So, uh, what do we eat? Plants and animals. When do we eat? When we're hungry. 3 square meals a day. How much do we eat? We fill up our stomach. We don't stuff it. We don't put ourselves in pain like on Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner when you feel like you gotta eat it all, everything you can see, 10-course meal. Don't do that. Okay, just fill that up. All right, you don't need you don't need to count calories, and you don't need to count macros to be an elite athlete. That's a big myth too. Okay, uh, I've I've proven it. Many athletes have proven it. There's so much evidence. It's not necessarily uh, empirical. Hasn't almost no nutritional evidence data is empirical and has been found in a super reliable study because these experiments would be illegal. You got to remember that. A lot of nutritional advice is anecdotal and observational, where they do observational studies and they take questionnaires and things like that. So um, some claims need to be investigated because they're ludicrous. But uh, one thing we've proven throughout history, because I really think that hurts you mentally and hurts your success is the tedious journaling of calories or macros all the time and thinking. Also, it can set you up for uh, doubt. It's like, oh, I didn't nail my calories, I didn't nail my macros, so now I'm going to be performing under par. It's like not even close to the truth. Okay, first of all, we have no idea what your calories or your macros should be. No nutritionist does. All right, they can't whip out a magic calculator and find that out. It's impossible. And the other one is we don't know exactly how much you ate of each. That's impossible to figure out too. All right, every label you read is a guess. They're allowed to be 20% inaccurate. Allowed to be. So if they get proven to be 20% inaccurate for that one package, it's okay. You can't sue them. They're allowed to be because they can't be accurate. Even item to item, you put an apple in your journal. It's like, well, what was the exact size of the apple, and what was the exact ripeness of that apple, and what species was it? Because that's going to change the caloric content of each one. All right. And another thing is we don't use calories for energy. We use ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So the calorie itself is such a useless vocabulary word when it comes to nutrition. It's just doesn't help, doesn't do anything. It doesn't even really enter the conversation with scientists or nutritionists that are worth their salt and know the anatomy and physiology of the human body. All right. If you look up cellular respiration, they don't talk about calories. It's not in the equation. Cellular respiration is the production of ATP. That's our energy source. All right. So eat plants and animals when you're hungry till you're full 3 times a day, and you'll be doing the best you could possibly do. All right. The only other secret sauce on top of that is steroids. So if somebody is just freaky and you're suspicious, like one of your superstar athletes or celebrities, it's like almost all of them are doing one form of steroid or another. So that's why doing what they do and not getting their results can be confusing. All right, I'll end there. If you have any questions, comment below, and I'll put some free PDFs down below, and the link to that whey protein that'll be down below. The one that I take, I've tried a million, and this one is what I think is high quality and tastes really good.